Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Philanthropy. I am very excited to host this next guest. I met with her at a very fortuitous supper recently in New Zealand, and she was such a lovely dinner companion. And I was so excited in the middle of our conversation that I said, "You have to come onto my podcast, please." And she was very, accommodating and said, "Okay, let's do this." So I'm introducing my wonderful friend, Lisa Kerr-Kohunui, and she is a beautiful, brilliant Maori lady from New Zealand. And the proper way to say New Zealand is
Aotearoa.
Aotearoa. She says it way better, but I got to practice. I got to work on that one. And she works in education. So welcome, Lisa. I'm so excited to have you here.
Tēnā koe, Jess, as Jess mentioned, we too, as a whānau here in family here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, welcomed our whānau from across Saskatchewan, and of course reconnecting with our Marasti whānau, and Jess is a really close friend to the Marastis, and voila, here we are. It's an absolute honour to be on your podcast.
Thank you so much for joining me. When we were having dinner, and here's what happened. So we had been talking, we kind of had a little side conversation, and I had just gotten tamoko, which is the Maori form of tattooing, which is very ceremonial. And so we had been talking a little bit about it. And then, of course, we talked a little bit. Oh, I'll show you. This is the one right here, the one on my hand, in case people are wondering. So we had been talking about it, and we started talking about language, and we were talking about healing. And Lisa is just infinitely brilliant. And so we had been having these really deep conversations. And, I probably rudely interrupted her in the middle of her thought. She was really being very passionate, and I got really excited. I'm so sorry, Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
I got really excited and I said, you know what would be wonderful is if we could share this conversation with other people, just because that's been my podcast life lately, where I'm having a really passionate, engaging, amazing conversation with someone. And I recognize that, so many people would benefit if we were all able to have these kinds of conversations. And so Lisa just graciously accepted when I said, please come onto my podcast. There was something that you had said about language that really struck a chord with me. When I went to Eutoria, I'm going to say it wrong. I'm trying, I'm
All
practicing.
good, all good.
Okay, good. And so I went there for a language conference, and something that really struck a chord with me, of course, as an Indigenous lady, is the prevalence of the Maori language everywhere. And of course, definitely at the conference. And something that I thought that was really profound that we could maybe start to, try here in Canada is that there's like a total substitution of terms, which I really loved. And it was something that, it's a concept that I've wondered about here with our own Indigenous languages, that once you know a word, you know a term, that you use it completely, your Indigenous language, that becomes your total substitution for whatever the term is. And this is what I noticed when we were at the conference, when we were taking part in any kind of activities, that somebody would have a term and they would use it completely, and they wouldn't stop and explain it. They wouldn't say, this is what it means, and kind of make it performative. It was more that people were like, if you don't know this term, that's on you to go and find out what this means. But there were supports. People would sometimes break down that there are multiple meanings of a term. But I found that when I was there were so many words, and I was immersed, like you were fully immersed. And I love that. And I think that's really beautiful, that now the responsibility was on me, and I had to write down these words. I had to sound out these words, and I had to go to a Maori person, and I had to say, what does this mean? How do I use this? Am I using it correctly? And then Lisa had mentioned at dinner that something that we could do to reclaim our language, our first language is to try meditation. And so I'm going to turn it over to you. I just wanted to share a little bit of my thoughts on the language and the reclamation, the revitalization of these Indigenous languages. And I'm going to let you share your brilliant thoughts right here.
Oh, cool. You're too good. I don't know if it's the same for your people, but anything that in recognition of acknowledgement of myself as in terms of how we say, oh, you're beautiful, you're brilliant. It's hard to kind of comprehend and accept that, just still trying to decolonize oneself, which is a bloody mission in itself. Anyway, I'm sure you all can imagine. First and foremost, I'll just introduce myself. He uri au ngā tūhoi me te aroa o Kuiwi. I am from Tūhoi, which is about a tribe. So we have a tribe, sub-tribe, and then, of course, in our sub-tribes, there can be many sub-tribes in one area. One of my main tribes is Ngā Tūhoi, which is about an hour and 20 minutes drive from where I'm currently at. Here in Taroa, which is predominantly from Maketu to Tongariro, but mainly here in Rotorua, I reside in a place where it's renowned for its hot waters or natural hot springs. Similar to Banff, but very more sulphy, smelly to those that have come to Rotorua. It's also was a place where a lot of people had travelled back in the day to partake in the pink and white terraces, which once was one of the 7 world wonders, according to the anthropologist of those times. Pākehā, which when I talk about Pākehā whānau, the terminology Pākehā is, I'm referring to white people. Yeah, white people, European, not so much European. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but white people that have settled here. Yes, so I'm from these 2 tribes. I come from a very large family. My immediate family is only my brother and I. However, in our world, Māori world, our siblings are like our first cousins, and I believe it's similar to where you all over there as well. Similar and not so similar, due to colonial impacts that we still suffer to this day, which is now termed as coloniality. Yeah, very interesting terminology. But I just want to go back to the language, what Jess was just talking about, the revitalization of our language here in many places, and especially across where in Canada, not only meeting Jess through our Merasti whānau, but due to many years ago, about 20 years ago, we were honoured and privileged as a family to adopt Sister Kara Merasti, Melissa Watney, and of course Diana Ladu. And through these relationships, of course, we meet the extended whānau or the other family members that we've hosted or looked after. We call it manaki over the years. Manaki is a sense of care that also incorporates reciprocity of care, whatever that looks like. Care, to love for, just purely to look after the person, whoever's here with us. And when we talk about language, I want to also reflect on, whilst talking about our reo language, in whichever spaces you're currently in terms of revitalizing who you are through your language, is what does language do to our well-being? And most of the parallel between the 2 countries, we can pretty much say we had the same policies, acts, exactly the same, that ensured to wipe out our people, both sides, your country and our country, First Nations of your country, and of course, First Nations or Indigenous peoples of our country. I also want to acknowledge too the First Nations, Métis and Inuits as we learn a lot more of your people, and I want to acknowledge the different tribals that sit within the Inuit nation. And I do understand these are government terminologies that have placed us all into spaces that really are not us, like tribal spaces. It's not until we hear face to face of who you are as a people. So I just want to acknowledge that as well. And I remember I have been to Saskatchewan twice now, but not enough to learn your language, in particular the Cree language, and knowing the different Cree nations. Wowee, it's too vast for us. I mean, we're a tiny ass country. We can fit Aotearoa just in your province, Saskatchewan. I mean, comprehend that, whānau. You're
Yeah.
just checking your Aotearoa, like literally go on the map, go online, look at where Aotearoa is, and then you just place that literally in Saskatchewan. There you go, boom. That's us.
Maybe a few of them too. But you know what? It's a small world, honestly, because I know when I went to the conference over there, the amount of Indigenous people I knew was kind of staggering. And I was like, it's like a big reserve over here.
Yes. Massive. Yeah, definitely. And then going back to healing ourselves through, again, one path through revitalization of our language. What does it look like here in Aotearoa? Movements, many movements, predominantly the 30,000 petition in the 70s ignited, um, not our people. We were just hoo-ha. We were just like, you know what? We're sick and tired of whatever you white people are doing over there in those times. But that drew upon our one of our renowned elder, Fina Cooper, who has there's a movie on her now that has been released. I'm not sure if it's in Canada, but again, she was the activation of our people with her walking from one side of the country to the other of enough taking our land. So in our world, the importance is our environment. So the taking of our land or even any part of the environment is a ripping away from ourselves. So what I'm saying is that most of us identify as that we are the Taiao. The Taiao is us. We are environment. The environment is us. And inside there, our languages allows us to open up and understand each part's what makes up our environment. So therefore, the suppression of our language over there in the past to where we see it now is due to the activation of the petition, the land march by Fina Cooper and Ngātamatua, which is a group of people that kept pushing, kept reigniting us. You can imagine back in those days for us, we were like, oh, those radicals, look at them protesting, causing all sorts of trouble. The propaganda was a field day for Western media to just keep saying what they wanted to say, right? Their narratives. As we move forward, then we have the Reo Society, which is the Mighty Language Society group. And then further on into the 80s, we see again our elders are just they're like, we're seeing our language disappearing. So the terminology decline was not even in the thought pattern of our elders. It was like, we've no more. We need to keep speaking. Our children need to keep speaking because it allows us to understand our environment. Again, I just want to take that back to our Taiao, our environment, because that's who we are. And if it's ruined, if natural resources keep getting taken, keep getting attacked, so does our being. We are together, we're one. And inside it, it's our language that allows us to understand that world again. So our elders set up the kohana reo movement, which is the early childhood movement. And from there, again, it was, I'm not going to say it was easy. We are a smaller country. Again, we can fit our country into Saskatchewan. But, we do speak the same language, different dialects. Predominantly, as we revitalize our language, I do recall hearing Scotty Morrison. Him and his wahine or his wife is just awesome in terms of revitalizing our language and just getting on the media and just keep pumping out the courses. Whatever space you have in terms of revitalizing the language, if it's through music, your music, powwow, singing, well, whatever it looks like, that's another form. So when we're getting told, oh, look, you're going to lose your language, don't listen to that at all. If it's coming from a white person, from white media, shut it off. It's propaganda. Because I see pockets, I hear pockets inside Canada and especially inside Saskatchewan of people speaking like the sisters from up north. They speak fluently. That's not dying or declining. And that doesn't mean that when we move into the urban areas, into the cities, yeah, we might not hear it all the time, but it's not saying that it's declined. No, it's just another avenue for our sisters to go, hey, you know what? I might just go online and do a podcast like Jess and just do little pockets of language. Little pockets, which I know that's what's happening over there because I do. Sorry, I have to admit it. Like, I have to go on Google and go, how do I say this? And then I go to the sisters, is this right? It's to and fro. And I do it in my own language too because I'm still learning. I come from a generation of not kohana reo, that's my son. He's 33. We put him in kohana reo. And then again, with my daughters, I did not. And you're most probably thinking, how come? You know what? I'm still decolonizing. So yeah, I'm not healed, whānau. I'm healing.
Me too.
Yeah. We are healing. So no judgment. Anyway, back to it. And my own revitalization of the reo, pātai, because of the kohana reo, the kura kaupapa, and what Jess was saying, she heard our language everywhere. It takes a whānau to raise a child, right? It takes a community to raise a child. It takes a community to raise that language up. Just language up, whānau. Wherever you are, never ever be ashamed. If you're feeling ashamed, just do it. That's why people are going to continue down the street. They're going to bicker. They're going to moan. They're going to tell us where we are. They're going to watch us in the store. I want to swear, but I won't because there's an audience. Anyway,
You can
sorry.
swear on this podcast.
Oh, great. Fuck 'em.
Check off the explicit mark because I
Oh,
want people to feel free to say whatever they
yeah.
want.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, Jess, it's called unapologetically Indigenous for us here, unapologetically Māori, or unapologetically being Te Aroa, being Tūhoi, being all my sub-tribes, whatever it is, we have every right, wherever you are in your land, it is yours. The Creator provided these things for us to care for. Yes, we are to care for our land, but we are also part of the land. So when we say our land, we're saying ourselves. We're not saying we own the land, we own ourselves, therefore we are the land. So when you hear us say we own the land, we're just reflecting that we're the same. We're the same. There's no differentiation. We're literally the same. We're made up of the same substance.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
And just going back, sorry, Jess, I'm like talking like 1 minute. You just pop in here, girl. Yeah, excuse me,
I'm enjoying it. No, it's good.
fire.
It is amazing.
And meditation, just touched on meditation. So meditation is, oh, I do love that terminology, meditation. Thank you, white man, with your English language of interpreting the Indians, actual India from India, how they sit in peace, sit in knowing, which I believe is a practice with many Indigenous people. Of course, we got to go and find that, right? Where
Mm,
was it? What did we do? How do we find it? Well, the knowledge is there. It's in their archives. Whānau, family, go and look for it. Go and
mm,
demand down at Ottawa and go, you guys, you got all of the missionaries, um, what else? Who else recorded? Whoever recorded you guys and us is already inside their archives. What makes us connect to it once we get that knowledge, then we go to our elders or our aunties, uncles, whoever we feel like has that knowledge base or we feel safe with, ask them, what does this sound like to you? Oh, no, it was like this. Ah, that makes sense. This is the only reason the more we spit out these narratives or have podcasts about revitalizing ourselves, acknowledging our identity, and, and everything that goes with it. Sure, yeah, everything trying to try to revitalize our own selves and acknowledge our identity can be very hurtful, very painful when it's sometimes ourselves or our family members have, because of being impacted by colonization, causes harm upon us, or even being impacted by missionaries. Oh my God, they were the worst. Um, Straight worst people those times.
yeah.
Um, not disrespecting those that are still following the Christian faith, because gotta have a sense of knowing, being, and doing, and sometimes that still sits within us, and if it sat with our loved ones, then we still continue to follow that path until we're ready to fully embrace ourselves and what our traditional ways look like, right? So here I am sitting in one of our language schools, immersion class, and I thought to myself, how many years have I done beginner's level of my language? Like, Fano, you have no idea. Years. I'm telling you, years. Only to sit in there and go, you know what? It's in my blood. Like, it's in my blood. We talk about intergenerational trauma, intergenerational transmission. So I just sat there going, you know what? I'm going to close my eyes and tell my blood to wake up. As I'm listening to my teachers, our teachers, just beautifully just speaking to us, I'm sitting there with my eyes closed and making a conscious, intentional decision to say, wake up, my blood. You know this language. It's you. And yeah, it just was like a download, like straight up, like in the night, dreaming. Like all of a sudden, I only hear my language. I can hear it, speak it, and then, but what I'm hearing and speaking is of what I was brought up with. Because my nanny, she used to, my grandmother, or we call her Nana, she used to talk to us all the time. And then I was just, oh wow. And then all of a sudden I find myself, it's like the Avatar, to those that have watched Avatar.
Yeah.
You're like leveling up. Yeah, it was like that. It was
Mhm.
like that, Fano, like for real. And I was like, this is who we are. Indigenous people across the world, straight up, we have that ability. When we say, oh, you're gifted, no, fo, we are all gifted.
Mhm.
Well, I
Mhm.
wouldn't say gifted, it's an innate us. We don't call
Yeah.
it a gift, right? We call it that's who we are. Straight up, unapologetically, that's who we are. Anyway, that's what happened to me, families. And I still gotta speak it, and I still gotta be immersed in it, or else I will. Yeah. Do I forget it? No, I don't forget it. It's just practice. Keep practicing, keep talking. And like what Jess said, it is everywhere, especially here in Rotorua. Oh my goodness, we have the highest percentage of Māori right here, which is brilliant for a person like myself that's still trying to learn. And now it's like what you said, they're not going to interpret for me like, oh, Lisa, I know this already. No, it's just now finding out. And now it's not only us, it's whoever else comes amongst our path. It's not out of arrogancy either. And like you said, Jess, like, you went away to go and look it up. I met a group of Anishinaabe people, and I remember learning the language when I was over in Ontario with my family over there as well. A little place called Wasauksing. Well, I wouldn't say little. I mean, we're little. We're little. But a place called Wasauksing. Being amongst the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Chippewa, as well as in a little pocket of Mohawk whānau. With the Anishinaabe whānau family, I got to speak it, and here I am, like, going, oh, that's right, I remember saying this. And then the girl comes back and asks me in the language, like, oh, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I did not learn that. Oh my God. And then they're all speaking it. I'll tell you why, because 15 years old, no, see, 20 years ago, I was over there with a fella called Merle. Well, I don't want to say fella, but he's an elder. He's passed on now. Merle Pegmagobwe. And he said to me back then when I was doing my placement over there, at the time was social work, then it went into political science. When I say it, I'm talking about myself. Yeah, I was in there, and he said to me, "Can you do like a literature review for us, or just write how did it revitalize the language here in Aotearoa, New Zealand?" Sat there going, "Oh, yeah, no, all good." Well, because it pretty much began here in Rotorua with those elders just talking, and then the actual move, like the first setup of a kohana under the establishment was over in Wainuiomata with our whānau, our Pukitapu whānau. Yeah, so back then he was seeking jurisdiction to speak their language in Ontario, the Anishinaabe language. And when he had asked me to do that, not once did I think of where it was going to go. And here I am encountering these beautiful Anishinaabe whānau all speaking the language with the different dialects even. It was just phenomenal. Yeah, sorry, Jess, I'm like waffling. No, you go, girl. Go.
No, 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 no. I mean, the whole reason that I have a podcast is to shine the light on the brilliant people that are around me and to learn from them, not so that I can talk.
Oh, oh, sorry, because it is
I
a Sunday, right? Yeah, it's Monday.
lots of I have lots of podcasts where it's solo and I have to talk all by myself for a whole 45 minutes. More than
Oh,
enough.
oh, you'll crack up. You'll crack up. That's funny. Yeah, that's too good. Oh, you
But
know,
it really struck me as quite profound when you said that to sit and to meditate. And of course, on this podcast, I feel like almost every single episode, I'm encouraging people to meditate for different reasons, and we go over different ways to do it. And when you said to tap into your language reservoir that's embedded inside of us, it's part of us, we're part of the land, and that language is the land, and we're all as one. Oh, that was just such a powerful statement and a powerful thing for you to, and I believe that was probably your ancestors just like waking you up right there and then in that moment, like and helping you to understand that. I think often we're approaching language from a very kind of intellectual standpoint, and then that can be part of the problem. And when you go beyond that, like you did in a spiritual way, then you understand that that language is everywhere. It's not just in our brain. And I thought that was really powerful. And something else that I noticed too when I was there, and I know I had mentioned that to you, was how people from different groups, of course, you're part of Polynesia, and there's, Tahiti and Hawaii and New Zealand and Fiji and all of these different groups. And something that I noticed is that people would talk to each other. A Hawaiian person would be talking in Hawaiian to somebody from New Zealand and they would understand. And so I asked you about that. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So the connection to Hawaii and actually to all the islands that surround us, the language, part of the revitalization and creating our own narratives around revitalizing the language was seeking out how come we can understand all like the other islands, why is it the same? So those at that time were looking at the language, the formation, knew that with, of our own voyages and the way we know it as. Reason why I'm saying that distinctly is because anthropologists of those times and even today, uh, listen up to those that are listening in universities, anthropologists that have Western ideologies attached to it. I'm just going to say no, don't follow that. Find it yourself. Whānau. Why? Because they really believe that we travelled all at once. And there's 7 waka and we all landed in the one place. Only to really recap on, because of the past, our elders went to go and seek those that attended universities. They were like, this is not true. I wasn't brought up with that story. I wasn't brought up with knowing all of these wakas landing and then one conversation to lead to another conversation of those that were allowed to be in universities, Maori that were allowed to be in universities, and to those that could afford to be there, which took a lot of hard work to even be in a university at that time. Similar, right? Sounds
Hmm.
very similar, doesn't it, whānau? Because it is. Same policies, remember, same acts, same frickin' bills, you name it, same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, it's not until we unpack our songs, well, we call them more tia. So in our chants, there's the linkage. Oh, hold up. We see that we go from here. Yeah, that's right. We come from that land. And of course, our ancestors, our elders always spoke about that. And it's inside our lodges or longhouses, which we call marae or wharenui. And it sits on a pā sites, which we call papakainga, which is an area or a village. What is that village? Yeah, no, that's very low. Anyway, a space where we all stayed together. In those carvings, in those weavings, in the patterns, that's our language, that's how we spoke, that's how yeah, we didn't write, we formulated the patterns, similar to what Jess has right now in her backdrop. If you see those triangle patterns, we have the exact same pattern. That formulates some of them into stars because we do whakapapa. Our genealogy takes us to the stars. For a lot of us, we come as star people. But there are some that come from this land here already existing. So there's many stories. So when we're tricky now and wanting to learn about ourselves as identity, we find ourselves across the oceans. Anthropologists said, follow the lapita pottery. They didn't find that. It wasn't Western that found it. They took the knowledge from our people and put it in their own writing and then interpreted it to their way. It was our own
Hmm.
people that already had it. Lapita pottery takes us back to Easter Island, that sings the trail all the way through the islands to Aotearoa, tells a story of how we got here, who we were in some parts. Then we get our songs or what has been written from our ancestors, from our elders. Put these two things together, then there's another light bulb moment of, so why is the language the same? So scholars, Māori scholars of the time, made those connections with the Hawaiians. And then, well, I would say all Samoa, Tonga, Tonga, Rarotonga. So we go first and foremost to Rarotonga. Oh, same language, same. We're New Zealand Māori, the Cook Island Māori. but now they've revitalized themselves and no longer Cook Island, which is great because it was named after Captain Cook. Thank you to the Hawaiians for taking that person out. Because we didn't really need him, really. Yeah, so we backtrack, and this is how we find our language is the same. Oh, we come from there. We are those people. And now we sit here. I'm not going to say all Māori are, because I know for our whānau in Ngāi Tuhui, we have a different creation story. But for majority, we come through those spaces. That's why our language is the same. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves, our people find themselves all over the place. I mean, we're well traveled. Well traveled. We did not stop walkering people. Thank goodness to whoever created the planes. So we get. But like what Jess said, there was a Whipsy, right? So Whipsy is the World Indigenous World Whipsy, World Indigenous Peoples Education Conference. It happens every 3 years, I believe, and it had come back to Aotearoa. So, and then at that time, it was just timely where the waka, the large canoe double hull, was traveling from Hawaii to here. So that in
Yes.
itself is a revitalization that happened many years ago from a Kraua, his last is a Busby, and the other one, oh sorry, whānau, I know you're listening to this, those that know. I don't want to disrespect either to the whānau from Nota, the whānau, so these two prominent men and others did this revitalization. They connected us back there, and then now they do these voyages of traditional practices. So what does that look like? Yes, if you've watched Moana and you've Maui, yes,
Yes, I was gonna mention Moana. I
yes,
when I flew from Australia to New Zealand, then I was on Air New Zealand, and they had a lot of shows that were made in New Zealand, and they were dubbed in different languages and stuff. And so I had watched a few. There was like a fishing or a hunting show, and then there was all kinds of different kinds of shows. But then I ended up with Moana, and I listened to the whole thing in Maori. Of course, I had to read the English subtitles because I was a little bit
true.
lost. It was, what? It was perfect. It was the right exact amount of time. And so, yeah, that was really super cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the voyaging, traditional practices. And then therefore the language, that's why we can speak the letters. The letters are different. Look, I was just talking about how our language became written, which happened through the missionary times. And again, Māori of that time, or I was just going to say a couple of ancestors, and I can say for one, yes, definitely. What I'm trying to do here is connecting the genealogy, and I do whakapapa to one of them. Anyway, so they were intrigued about how these people were writing a language. And so the intrigueness sent them over to England. Then they were writing, like, oh, watching them write the language, the Bible. Then, of course, missionaries wanted to write a Bible in Māori because they had their mission to colonize.
Yeah. They
Man,
did.
I'm telling you, there was what we call tohunga or people that of knowing. They did try to warn our people back then, I'm telling you, but did we listen?
Oh, I
Like I want to
know.
say, yeah, I want to
I
say a
know.
lot of our people, we are explorers by nature. We loved any new technology. Statistics shows right now, Māori engage with any new technology. You name it. So you give us AI, and it's been around since 2022. ChatGPT, we're pros at it now. I'm telling you, we're all up in there. We're creating whatever is good going on. I just want
Yep.
to say technology, anything new, we were like inquisitive beings. We want to see what it looks like. We want to know what it is. And then we want to like, hold up, who created it? What ethical practices you got going on here? Who's doing what with our data? Whānau, don't share this. Make sure it's
Mhm.
within house, like genealogy stuff. Very, very taboo, very sacred to us.
Mm.
Likewise with your people. But
Yep.
anyway, going back to language, that's how it all kind of came to be. And it's the moving with times. I think Rangi Mātaumua was one of our senior lecturers when I was doing my thesis. He was like, straight, gave us the truth about don't romanticize our culture or who we are. No, quit that. Because we were talking about funerals, having Facebook, people doing Facebook time, FaceTime live during a tangihana, I guess. Nah. Look, what? You want to go back to the old ways where you've got our loved one there wrapped up, bound, and you want to talk to them? Is this what you want now? What have we got now, whānau? We've got photos in front of a casket. We're in a box. He goes, that's not traditional. And so therefore tikanga plays a part for us, protocols. So we adapt with the times. And from there on in, it just stuck with me when he was talking about so Rangi Mātaumua is he is renowned as like our star guy. He picked up the mahi of his papa, of his dad, and of his kraua, his grandfather. Sorry, I'm having to translate. I'm like, what is that word? Star. So he studies our stars. Anyway, long story short, matariki. He went about and brought about matariki, which is a day off. We get a day off, and it's funny too how he said it. He goes, "So what day do we want a long weekend?" Yeah, let's have it on a long weekend because government was like, "Which day do you want?" And he goes, "Well, I don't want to be shot by our people. Let's make a good day." Again, when we're revitalizing ourselves through our language, language connects us to our land. If we're connected to the land, then we learn the language faster. If we're connected in urban society and we're like completely gone, or we're part of 60 Scoop and we think there's no other way to get back to who we traditionally are or your identity, sit in yourself, feel that ground you're on, and ask it to find you, help find you. Ask your blood, talk to yourself and go, find who I am. Connect your fingers into the earth and then ask the earth where you are, no matter where you are in the world, you can do it anywhere. Because 60 Scoop kids, into a lot of them are here in Aotearoa. Ask, find my people for me, please. This is who I belong. I don't know who I am. Find them. Please bring them to me with peace, love, kindness, and be prepared what comes next, family, because that's what actually can happen. It does happen. Mm.
That's so beautiful. I absolutely love that, because that's something that has also been a really big theme with me lately that I have been or I guess practicing it, but also really encouraging people to do grounding in that exact sense where you're in the earth, your feet are in the earth, your hands are in the earth. And I guess I've been approaching it from maybe that scientific perspective of the healing energy that's in earth and how that charges us from that kind of energetic standpoint. But I love how you're saying to do it and to do it as a way of reconnecting to the earth, reconnecting to your ancestors, reconnecting to those ancestral ties and your ties to the land wherever you are. Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Mm.
I absolutely love that.
Oh, yeah, thank Jess. And it's both ways, works both ways. The amount of, what do I say? We say awa to us. So the amount of spiritual connections to myself happened in your land,
Mm.
just on your fella's land, full stop. So many experiences, so many visits. Being, what year was it? Well, I was 26 at the time. This awesome friend, John Rice, he rings up from Wasaksen and he goes to my friend, hey, go and take those ones that's with you and take them outside. The northern lights are out. So this is in September, right there, August. And she was like, what? They're out? and it was grey. And it was right there where all of us, she goes, this is our ancestors showing themselves. And I was just already in awe, right? And I can see like and it was like a grey, and it was like dancing, like dancing. I couldn't
Yes.
see any figurine. And then I was like, oh, wow, I can just imagine the amount of times they visit you guys through the Northern Lights. And then next minute, you know how you look at it, oh, like, I mean, here for us, we look at the clouds and we're like, oh, there's a bunny rabbit. Oh, there's a tiny flower or a dragon like, or, we're kind of devising these things in our, not creative mind, but just we can see the imaging.
Yeah.
And then I thought, is that just me, or are we all seeing what I'm seeing? All of us, I'm seeing your animals. Like they were just like clear, like as if your ancestors were like, well, we're going to show her who we are. And it was
Mm,
all the animals, like the elk, the deer, the moose. No, 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 it was like really fine drawing, like outline. It was straight. It was just straight animals. There was no for my imagination to like try and figure it out. No, none of it. Straight, just visual. And
wow.
then, yeah, and then the last out of all the animals, and I was like, holy cow, wow, it's not just me. We are all seeing this. And then next minute it just went poof. And then all of a sudden we see, we're just looking, I'm like sitting there in awe. And of course, being with the people, they're like, oh, it's normal for us. It happens all the time. I'm like, I'm in awe, still just mesmerized by what I've just been encountered and feeling absolutely honored, like, wow, we. And then I see this large beak. And then my friend, Kathy Epsilon, she goes, Lisa, oh my goodness. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And then the beak came closer towards us as we're sitting on the rock just outside her whare, her house. And then all of a sudden we see the formation of and then the wings just went right across the sky. And she goes, oh, it's the Thunderbird, Lisa. And I was like, holy shit. What the? And that's it. We're all stunned. We're all stunned at the same time. And then of course we gave tobacco and thanks and all sorts of stuff. And then JR rings up and he's like, did you see that? And I was like, oh, I'm still not crazy. Yeah, no, I
Oh.
saw it. I saw it. And then that was from then on in, just on that, right across Canada. I've had so
Mm.
many encounters of your people, of your ancestors, of all of them. Yeah, and it's just been such a blessing in itself. And of course, being visited of what's happening with the children just coming to light even. It's just such a blessing. I'm so grateful. Majority of the time when I end up in Canada, it's a calling. It's yeah, it's more than a calling actually. It's just those that kind of like part of my ancestral. I suppose people will see them as past lives,
Mm.
but why I end up in places where I end up, but mainly a lot of my healing of finding myself has happened in your lands.
That's interesting.
Yes, that's right. Well, thank you for allowing me to speak of many experiences and being with yourself. And even though you say you talk most of the time with the other podcast, but I appreciate you letting me just talk and
Oh,
allowing me the space to express. I think it's been something sitting inside me of when we going through the revitalization of ourselves, our identity, our language, connecting back to the Taiao, to the environment, no matter which space we sit in. And then we see other Indigenous peoples like rising up, Hannah, niece Hannah, oh my goodness. She's the one that ripped up those treaty principles inside the parliament here. That in itself just reignited all of our rangatahi, all of our youth right across the world, just like, look here, she did it. We're going to do it too. So I truly believe in what our whānau call here mokopuna decisions, grandchildren decisions, and I many times I've heard 7 generations over in your lands of revitalizing. So now it's our rangatahi, it's our youth that are leading right now. We used to say the rangatahi are going to lead. We got to set it up for them in the future. No, for us now, no. They are doing it right now. So they are speaking, a lot of our young ones are speaking our language. Not only are they speaking our language, they know the stories that come with it, or the experiences of past that come with it. They can interpret a lot of the more tiatia that hold a lot of our sacred knowledge. Many of that was put away is now coming out for them to look at and guide us, myself, my generation, into those spaces. And it's for my generation to sit back and go, kapai, I'll support you, whatever you need. Not for me to now lead or to be in those spaces, but to guide, to continue to guide. Not only myself, as trying to decolonize myself, and constantly where I'm thinking, is that Western thinking I'm thinking? Oh, fuck that. Fucking Western thinking. I fucking hate it. Why can't
Oh,
we just go
I
back?
hear you. The same with me too. I really do have to sit with my thoughts and try to understand, how I've been shaped in my thinking, and what my ancestors would want me to know and to learn and having to navigate, because and I do think that there's the struggle because, exactly what you said that, sometimes we have to try and figure out, even in this contemporary world, what is traditional, what isn't, and how are we navigating these spaces, and decolonizing ourselves, but trying to adapt and trying to hang on to the traditions. It can be a lot. It can feel like a lot. It can get really heavy sometimes.
Heavy. What a good word that one is. Heavy. It is, and hopefully it eases up a little as the times go by. I hope, I'm hopeful. Actually, no, actually it will ease up a lot more with our children, and a lot more as we move and progress and guide our young ones into being these the leaders that they were anyway. It's in their blood. They were leaders. They had their roles in our society, in our traditional society and practices. It's just kind of going back there with these new technology as we move into AI space. Corporations wanting our natural resources.
Mm-hmm.
Hold up. Yeah.
Mm.
And then, of course, ourselves wanting to engage with these corporations, but in a safe, ethical practice way of knowing, being, and doing is really important as we move ahead and move forward with the times. And just doing those cultural impacts assessments of those corporations coming in, bringing in the AI. Yes, AI needs a lot of water for the cooling system. Whanauna here, or a relative here in Rotorua, she's phenomenal. And she talked about data subset centers as opposed to having a data center. So I don't know, I know in Canada and America, the data centers there are huge. But if we can have like little ones, spotted around the areas, that not only supports your communities to, one, have power for free, because that's that equity part, right? When we're negotiating, it comes for free, because it's going to be a 50-50 relationship. And the cultural impact assessments, because based on the animals or the creatures that live around that area, are our first indicators to tell us, hey, something's happening here. Why are they dying? Why are they not well enough? How I used to see not many years ago. What's happening there? It's got to be in relation to whatever the systems or tools we've put in place on our natural resources. So when we're revitalizing ourselves, we always connect back to the Taiao, the environment. If anything happens to the environment, it always affects us. Always.
Mm.
No matter
Mm.
what. They can tell us otherwise, but nah. And now, water. Here in Rotorua, we have fluoride in the water, which is quite common in the cities or in outer bigger places. But what does that tell us? That's corporation coming in. We want your water. And a lot of the corporations here are iwi based now, tribal, interacting. Oh, yes, you can have this amount. Or, and then there's government too, just taking the water and just like selling it because it recycles back to us and like, oh, we're going to take this free water, whānau, and we're going to sell it back to you. We're going to put a bit of a label on here, and you're going to buy 15 liters of this water. That's literally an hour away from us,
Mhm.
but 20 minutes away from us, and we're going to sell it to you for like $11. That's all.
Mm.
That's what's happening here. And at the moment, we've got places that we can go and get fresh water for free. We drive over now and get it, or we have access to it. But that's going to go soon because corporations are going to keep pushing to one, government and our own people that are running trusts. Money talks. What we see money as, oh, this is going to provide X, Y, and Z for our children. It's for the rangatahi. We cannot be fooled into that. A narrative of it. Nor can we be saying we don't want a part of it. We're not going to say no. We're going to look at it. Oh, we're going to dictate how it's going to go. We're going to see what it's going to look like. And yes, you can have it. It's going to be 50-50. Yeah. So these things that we're moving into right now, both countries.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be seen what it is now, but it is definitely happening in your lands as well as our lands, Australia too. So I think there needs to be more conversations. Your podcast, Jess,
Yep,
is a
100%. You're
great
right.
platform.
And I am so grateful to those people who are consistently looking out for, Mother Earth and are consistently looking out for the 7 generations ahead, that we have to protect this land and keep it safe and really question, what are these decisions that are being made and why are we not sitting at the table for a lot of these decisions?
Mm. Yes,
So,
that's right. Why aren't we? Bloody hell. No.
mhm,
We
mhm.
have to go back to our tribal leaders, right? Tribal leaders. That's
Yep.
a bit of a statement. Anyway, I'm okay because my cousins can just come back to me and go, hey, what are you talking about? No. If they see the podcast. Like, I'm fully aware of what I'm doing right now. Fully intentional too. But,
Oh, well, you know what?
yeah.
It has been an amazing hour, my friend. I'm so grateful to you for all of your knowledge and everything that you shared. And I think that we'll probably have to come back and we'll probably have to do another podcast because I really wanted to get into also a lot more of the healing too from colonization, the impacts that we've seen and felt in so many different areas. And I know we definitely touched on it with the language as a source of strength, as a source of healing. But I know I would love to explore a lot more, and these podcasts don't have a super long time frame, so we'll have to do a few more.
Oh yeah, when you're ready. I've talked enough, you know. You just send me out some questions, so I stick to the script. No, so sorry.
No, no, I love when you allow the words to come and share them with us in a true and authentic way. And I'm grateful when people are not too scripted. That sometimes we need that energy to flow in. And I do think that a lot of our thoughts and our words come from creator, come from our ancestors. And so sometimes people need to just be in that space and be open to it, receptive to it, and to share. And so I'm grateful to you for that. Do you have any final thoughts or words that you want to share with anybody before you leave?
Oh yeah, shout out to the families. the Maresties, Watney, Ledoux, Sister D especially, losing her, just reconnecting back with her mama, and as she had gone passed on and joined our father, and of course all of the family that are going through the impacts of colonization, addictions, you name it, man. We're here for you all, and the support and the services. Western ideologies, you don't need them. Just look at what you already got in your own backyard and what you already know. And if you don't know, all goods, don't worry about it. It'll come. Everything will just come at the time. Acknowledgement to all the babies that have come to light. So honored, because what you all did, babies, is ignite the babies here in Aotearoa too, to come to light. So I appreciate that to our babies and the babies over across your lands. Yes, I am talking to the babies that have passed. Um, Also to the whānau that are gone through the residential schooling and gone through day schooling and still feeling those feelings of, yeah, just be kind to our generation, to the generation, not my generation, because I know it just finished in 1996, but to the next generation, be kind to the elders, be kind to them, you know. Those impacts are severe. And if you don't listen to Western, listen to Jess's podcasts. As she brings in people that have gone through residential schooling and when they're ready to talk about it, read the books. Only look for writings that are written by your people, not Western, as they are always wanting to write about us. Enough's enough. If you ever encounter anyone that is non-Indigenous from your lands and they want to write about you, so hold up. Who's Indigenous in part of your work? No one? Forget it. It's not going to go anywhere. Or even start up your own podcast to make sure that everyone knows. Because no more. I'm not saying, I know these white people are going to have feelings. Have your feelings. But we have a lifetime to heal. That's going to go on forever. Kia ora.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And even touching on your last point there, we are battling with the pretendians right now who are, of course, stealing our identities and profiting off of that. And so that's actually going to be a podcast. I think next week I'm taping one of the warriors who battles with pretendians all of the time. And so she's going to be on and sharing her work in helping to expose the people who are lying to our faces and have made entire careers out of this. Buffy St. Marie and Grey Owl and all of these big names that have pretended to be Indigenous for name and fame and wealth, and no more. We have to take back our own stories and make sure that it's actually Indigenous people who are sharing these stories exactly like what you said,
Oh, thank
because they have their own
you.
identities. There's nothing wrong, and I always say there's nothing wrong with a white person sharing their story because that's their story, but own your identity, own where you come from, and don't try to be something that you're not. I think that's where we get into trouble. And
Agree, agree. And if they've been raised to think, they could be raised like, no, you are. And then only to find out halfway through their lifetime they're not. And then the tapu, or I suppose you'd call it a sin. Oh, no, I don't want to call it an English name. But the sacredness of it all is that when you find out that you're not, that's when you say to yourself, shit, I better back my shit up.
yep,
Not when you get exposed.
yes.
No. If you're wondering, yes, if you are or not, find out. But I also want to acknowledge too the systems that were designed to put us and label us as these Indigenous groups like Métis. I want to acknowledge that here in Aotearoa we don't have the blood quantum. to identify ourselves as who we are. Just also be kind and mindful around those spaces too. You are who you are when you know who you are.
Mm.
When you do know who you are and you know you don't belong to that nation, you're just like, sorry guys, my bad.
Yeah.
And then relinquish, honestly. Unpack. And whilst you're doing that, to those that are listening to, be kind to those people that when
Mhm.
they openly state, I didn't know, I didn't realize until now, but not to those that realized ages ago. And we're sitting here going, you knew.
Mm.
I don't know. But anyway, unapologetically, just be yourselves. Just be
That's
yourself.
right.
And those pretendians. Geez, how do we get to watch your podcast?
The podcast?
Yeah, your stuff, your stuff.
This one is on YouTube. It's also on Spotify. It is on Apple Music. So, of course, those two are just auditory. But on YouTube, you can watch it's I think on YouTube it's philanthropy yoga, but on Amazon and on Apple Music it's philanthropy.
Yeah, cool. I want to watch that one that you're
The
about to
pretendian ones,
interview. Yeah.
yeah, it's coming. And I share always on Facebook. I always share the links for the new ones, and you can listen on YouTube, but definitely you can search for them on Spotify and Apple Music. Yeah. Oh, it has been so amazing, and it's just been such a wonderful space for me to share those thoughts and to share those conversations that I'm having, those powerful conversations that I'm having with amazing people. And if they tolerate when I interrupt and say, "Wait, let's talk about this on my podcast." I'm always so grateful because that's happened a few times, and people, well, they put up with me, so I'm grateful for that. Aw, it was wonderful, my friend. Thank you so much. And we will be back. We'll be back with more thoughts and more sharing as we all learn how to heal and decolonize and do the good work in the world that we need to do, put our energy to good use. And so I'm so grateful that you were put on my path and I was able to connect with you again so that we could share these powerful thoughts that I know are going to be helpful and transformative to other people who need to hear your words. And so thank you so much for that. You're so wonderful. We will talk again soon, my friend. Take care. Bye.